Hello, welcome to Kitchen Basics 101, where I teach you the bare bone basics as if you have never cooked a day in your life from the perspective of a mom. We're making pancakes. I don't usually make pancakes from scratch. I have another video which I can tag, which shows you the mix that I use and I love, but I had a lot of requests for scratch pancakes, so we're gonna try a recipe from someone else here on TikTok and we're gonna see if we like it. Step one, dry ingredients. We're gonna do 2 cups of flour. This is a dry measuring cup. And I've got my big flour container, which makes it easier. So you're gonna fluff the flour up a little bit before you start, because usually when you're measuring flour, you're using too much flour. And I am just as bad as the rest of you. I also tend to use too much flour. You want it to be as light and fluffy as it can. We're gonna scrape off the top. A knife works beautiful for this. And that's 1 cup. Let's fluff her up. And a little stuck over here. 2 cups. Moving on to sugar. I always use cane sugar, so if you see that it's like darker, it's not brown sugar. That's not the same thing. It's cane sugar. We're gonna do 3 tablespoons of sugar. I'm gonna do 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Baking powder, baking soda, these are leavening agents that help you to get some lift and some air into your baked goods, or in this case, our pancakes. Just a ½ teaspoon of baking soda. Always need a little bit of salt. So we're gonna do a teaspoon of salt. Whisk your dry ingredients and get everything well combined. Okay, and this is going to be a classic where we're going to make our wet ingredients separately and we're going to add them to our dry ingredients. So you could ahead of time make this part, the dry ingredients mix, and keep it in a container as your pancake mix, which is essentially when you buy pancake mix, that's what you're buying, and then you can combine the wet ingredients when you're ready to cook. Our wet ingredients are 2 cups of buttermilk. So this is 16 ounces, which I think is 2 cups of buttermilk, right? Hopefully I've done my math correctly on that. Add in 2 eggs. Now, one thing you could do if you have issues with cracking eggs is crack these eggs into a separate bowl. So if you get any shell or if your egg is bad, if you put it into a separate bowl, then it's not going to mess up all your ingredients. This is a ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract, but like, I already measured all of this, right? I can't be measuring that. Moms don't measure, but in baking, you have to measure because it's science. I'm gonna whisk the wet ingredients together, break our egg up, combine our buttermilk and our vanilla. We're gonna combine our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients, and we don't wanna overmix at this stage. So that's part of the reason that you've already mixed your dry ingredients, you've already mixed your wet ingredients, because we want this to just come together and we don't wanna overmix it, okay? So I put some water into this buttermilk container and I shook it up to try to get the remnants off, and I'm gonna slowly add that until I get the consistency that I'm looking for, okay? Because this is still a little too thick. And again, I'm being gentle. I don't wanna overwork it. Having a feeling that this container was not 2 cups. Maybe it was 1 cup, I don't know. Because we don't have enough liquid. We don't want to overwork. So just combining. Barely. It's lumpy. Oh no, we're almost there now. That's how I want my consistency. Maybe a smidge. Don't want to over mix. Just a smidge looser. Yeah. Okay, I think we're there. Now we're going to let it sit. Just let it sit, let it chill for a couple of minutes. Let all the gluten absorb the liquid, like let her become a thing before we start cooking them off, okay? In the meantime, let's let our pan get up to heat. I'm using a big 12-inch non-stick skillet. You can use a grill top or any flat surface that you can get to, medium-high heat. Using butter is a preference. In my opinion, if you use butter, you've transferred into more of a griddle cake. then into a pancake, and you're gonna get like a crispier texture on the outside. My kids prefer no butter. They add butter afterwards, so I don't put butter in the pan. My kids love little pancakes, so I'm gonna start by doing a couple little silver dollar ones to test it out. It's not quite come together yet, but we're impatient. I dripped all over the pan. I like to use these scoops for lots of things because then you get an even measure, which I love, and it helps get the batter out if the batter was thicker. So I just love to use these I think they're cookie scoops. They have like a little mechanism that pushes the batter out. I've never made this particular recipe before, so we're gonna have to keep an eye on it together. You can start to see the bubbles coming through on this first one, and that's what you wanna see. You wanna see bubbles coming through. That should let you know. And you also can see when the edges start to firm up. So we're not quite ready for flipping here. Okay, see how we're firming up, we're getting bubbles. Let's just take a little peek together. Oh, that one's like almost ready to turn. So that's what you're looking for. You can tell, the bubbles coming through, right? I think my heat's just a smidge high. I'm gonna turn it down just a little. All right, let's flip this one together and see. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, that's exactly what we're looking for. Beautiful. Oops, look, I flipped on top of the other guy. What in the heck? Well, we're just gonna have to leave him now. Those look beautiful. I was able to scoot him over. All right, then you're gonna do another minute on this side. Obviously you can't look for the bubbles now because it's flipped over. So we'll just give a peek in a minute. They're gonna take far less time on the other side. Look at that. Can you see? Perfection, that's all we need. They were basically cooked through on the first side. So they're gonna take way less time on the second side. So let's pull them out, put them on a plate. I put a new batch in. I think little ones are easier to control. So if you're new at making pancakes, I would do little silver dollar ones. It's just a lot easier, but I'll show you a big one. A little taste test while they're hot. While we're waiting for the other ones to cook. Delicious. Light, fluffy. Love that recipe. I'm gonna make a bigger one just to show you. So these is more of like a standard pancake size, just to show you that for people who asked about flipping, they're like, oh, I can't flip it. It's because you didn't wait for it to be completely ready to flip, right? So what we're watching for is we're watching for the bubbles. We're also watching for the sides to pull up, and we're watching for it to look like it's dried a little bit, right? You can see how shiny and wet it looks. When it's ready to flip, it'll have more of a dry look to it. I'll show you. Look how this bubble has dried out. Right? So take a peek. Yep, she looks done on that side. See how it holds together because it's ready to be flipped, right? That's why. We'll just give it a little smash. We'll do this one too. And it's okay. Like if you flip and you get this, that's okay. That's fine. That's just a little crispy flavor. Don't worry about that. See, this one was just slightly not as ready as that one, right? Oh my gosh, right? I'm just saying. I don't use syrup, but you've seen me do it with sausage. Definitely gonna do it with bacon. So good. It's like salty, sweet. It's a perfect little bite. I love it. This is pre-made bacon that I roasted yesterday. It's cold. It gets warm in here. It's delicious. That's why I love pre-making the bacon.